about time.
And we're back! All Flash!
No substance. I almost forgot that we were going to say that.
After 6 months, here we go. First top 5 in 6 months.
Yes.
Now, we've done our singles.
Yes.
But we have not done one together in like 5 or 6 months. It's been freaking crazy.
Yeah,
Do you remember
actually.
what the last one was?
That we both did together?
Yes.
No.
I think one of the last ones we did was either robots or romantic films in February. It was one of those. I can't remember.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
But if it was robots, let's keep the trend going.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, there's a lot of Godzilla news out there right now, and he's kind of like a big subject, literally and figuratively. But you know, it's a topic nonetheless. We do have a lengthy video coming out pretty soon where we talk a lot about Godzilla. But for now, let's honor the big G, because ain't nothing but a G thing up in here, with top 5 Kaiju films.
Yes.
Now, we were going back and forth on what
The definition of a kaiju
Now,
film.
the definition of a kaiju is a giant monster of a type featured in Japanese fantasy and science fiction movies and television programs. So this is not relegated to just Godzilla. Anything that's a strange animal.
A large monster.
It literally means
Frankenstein.
Strange animal. So, Terrence, go first.
All right. Oh man, it was crazy to try to put this list together because it was so kind of hard to kind of narrow down.
Yes, it was.
And everything can't be when you look up kaiju, it's like
It's
this
all
is
Godzilla.
Godzilla. So we didn't want to make that list. So I didn't want to make that type of list. So my number 5.
Number 5 is Godzilla.
It's not Godzilla. It is not Godzilla. I actually went with Tremors. And
Tremors.
for a particular reason. Because Tremors, out of all my kaiju on my list, is going to be the smallest of the ones.
And
even though this is probably one of the best movies that's going to be on my list.
Absolutely. And not to mention that Mothra's baby worms are the size of the graboids.
See? There you go.
We're reaching for that one.
Really?
Really?
So are we going to say the graboids are growing bigger, kind of like how they did with Kong?
Well, you know, they did evolve
Yeah.
and turn into those little
Oh, God, I hate that.
jumping things.
Anyway,
Anyway, go ahead.
Let's never speak of that again.
Tremors.
Anyway, so Tremors, such a great film that actually it's one of those films like but you know how I explain it. So first and foremost,
Do you want me to say the tagline again?
no. Kevin Bacon was probably for me, and like I think I saw Tremors first before I actually saw Footloose, and I think this was my introduction to Kevin Bacon.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Friday the 13th? He was in Friday the 13th.
Was he?
Yeah, he's the one who got stabbed in the neck.
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't know who he was. At that point.
All right.
Right. At that point, I really know who he was. But anyway, so and this was such a fun film, that had it was so lighthearted but terrifying at the same time,
Yes, it was.
because the way that they set up how these things can get you, and where you're walking and you don't even know it's coming until something just comes up out of the ground and just swallows you whole.
Right.
Or tears you apart, where they figured out how to deal with it, how to find them out, how to defeat them. And it was such a triumphant victory for them when they actually figured out how to actually kind of battle these things. And it all takes place in this little bitty town between this little community, to where it never got outside of the military, didn't come in, nobody came to save them. They had to figure out how to take care of themselves.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Nobody
came to save them.
Nothing.
I mean, you had the little sheriff and stuff like that, but I mean, that was really it.
Yeah, the dad from Family Ties. He was your line of defense.
Michael Grossman.
Yeah,
I don't know
Michael
why.
Gross.
Michael, was it Gross?
Bert. A guy named Bert. So a guy named Bert was your...
Yeah. So look, I think even though it's such a 80s film in a sense with the hair and some of the style of dress and stuff like that, but I still feel like if you were like, hey, it's now streaming, or they wanted to re-release it in theaters, I think people would go see it. I would go see it.
Hell yeah, I'd go see it.
I mean,
Slam Jaws.
please never, ever remake this movie. Well, one, because the sequels all suck, but two, they couldn't do it justice, and we couldn't get another person to be Kevin Bacon again.
That's very true. You couldn't even get Kevin Bacon.
I mean, you could.
No, you can't. You couldn't, because he and you know what's funny is that he's had interviews where there have been mentions of it.
Like to see it's like, have you not seen Fast and Furious? No, you could.
Well, what about I know, but I'm saying I think he's got too much on his plate to do Tremors. Tremors what though? Because he already did Tremors 2 and Tremors 3. And
Kevin Bacon, Michael Gross would come back for this.
Again, Michael Gross is the only person that has come back. He's Bert for everything. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, so
Number 4.
Number 4, we're going to get into our Godzilla here. So, one of my favorite Godzilla films is Godzilla Final Wars.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
You used to watch that one a lot.
Look, the Final Wars is such a great film. Not because it's got an amazing story, not because it's going to blow you away with special effects, but it has every damn monster Godzilla has ever fought in any other movies. He brought them all, I think, except for the Smog monster. I don't think the Smog monster's in it.
What about Destroy All Monsters?
See, Destroy All Monsters too, but in Final Wars, they actually bring in Godzilla 1998. It's badly CGI.
Yeah, Zilla.
Yeah, Zilla. It's badly CGI, but it's such a, for me, when I was younger, you know, it's like watching it was so fun. It was like, oh look, they even got our crappy one, and they didn't like him so much they didn't even spend the time on the CGI.
And they killed his ass like
quickly. But I was like, so where like if you're a big fan of Godzilla in the franchise and you've watched all these films and get to see them like back to back to back to back to back, it was such a fun film. Not the best film to watch, but for your inner child, it's a great film.
Okay.
All right.
Number three.
And I just switched this to you. So I originally had. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So number 3. Pacific Rim 2.
You went with 2.
I went with 2 because
of Boyega.
Look, I think Boyega was a better character and better lead to this movie. I think that there was more kaiju. Okay. I felt with Pacific Rim, it was like, oh, training montage, figure out how to drift, figure out how to control the
Rocky 4.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it was like before we actually
training montage.
It was some kaiju in the back destroying some stuff. You guys aren't ready. Man, we can't go out there. Like, look, Pacific Rim 2 was fight.
Well, I mean, you gotta remember, like it's an origin.
Yeah, and they had to set it up.
Okay.
But they could have gave me some more fighting.
So the origin need to be faster.
Kaiju films. I don't need a kaiju film that takes forever to get to the kaiju fight.
That's half the Godzilla movies.
I mean, it is. That's why Final Wars is on here. They go right to it. Fight.
Number two.
All right, here's another film. And this one, I would say, until it came out, I would have... Well, I guess that doesn't make any sense. I was going to say I wouldn't have put this in my list until it came out, but it didn't exist until it came out.
Okay, what?
But when it came out, I guess I'll say that when it came out, I wouldn't have said that this would have been, and if we were to do this list back then, if this would have been in my top 5 kaiju films. But over time, I've just developed such a love for this film, and that is Kong Skull Island.
Okay.
I've developed such a love for this film that like it is now on my I have to stop if it's on somewhere.
It's a remote drop.
Yeah, it's a remote drop.
It has graduated to remote drop.
It is that. Look, Samuel Jackson did a great job, and him being like, I can't let it go. I have to finish the mission type deal. John Goodman in the creation of Monarch. And Tom Hiddleston wasn't. Yeah, Tom Hiddleston and
Brie Larson.
Thank you. I was gonna say.
And Dre. Corey Hawkins.
Captain Marvel here.
Yeah. Captain Marvel, Nick Fury.
It was really good to see Tom Hiddleston actually kind of take over and try to lead a movie. So like I said, special effects were great. The 70s vibe was great. What's the movie? Apocalypse Now theme was I mean, they did everything right in this film.
I think that's what probably set it apart from, I mean, honestly, when you're really looking at the Monsterverse, you're looking at pretty much Godzilla films in general. This movie probably had the most substance than any monster movie, like Monsterverse movie that's out there, like period.
And if you had seen the original King Kong when they go and they get him from Skull Island, and it was like with the dinosaurs and stuff like that, you hadn't seen, I mean, this like literally from what they've envisioned in the books and what they tried to give you back in the early film, and it's like, this is exactly what we expected Skull Island to be. I mean,
you know
I mean, it had more money and better special effects now, but it was like, this is exactly what you envisioned when you were thinking of Skull Island.
But when you're looking at it after seeing Godzilla vs. Kong, like, what does really differentiate Skull Island from the Hollow Earth? Or I mean, is Skull
Island, know why the sun is there.
Or is Kong Skull Island, or is Skull Island kind of like a pathway to?
That was the one thing I thought they should have addressed, because they were like, oh, you know, all the villagers died and we moved Kong and stuff like that, so that way Godzilla didn't get there. But they never thought about the fact that, hey, the reason why he could get there is because the path to Hollow Earth was right there. And that's the reason why he was there, because his family could travel from the Hollow Earth directly to Skull Island. They never really addressed that, and this is not a movie about the plot holes for Skull Island.
And it'll be in Monarch.
Hopefully. All right, no!
one.
All right, so number one, my favorite kaiju film. We got to go back to Godzilla. Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
Really? That's your
Yes,
favorite one?
that is
Really?
my favorite one because it's obviously back then those movies were very, very campy, but it was stupid in a sense that like with the aliens controlling the Mechagodzilla and coming down and they had made a robot that looks like Godzilla.
Ain't that the one where they turn into a roach?
Did they do? I can't remember.
They turn into a roach or his.
Yes, they do. Yes.
Some dumb shit like that.
So it's so stupid, but
That's
it's
a
like
movie.
it is.
It
It is my favorite. So it's like my favorite Godzilla film. And if we're talking about kaiju films, and it's like that, where it's one of those films where like, hey, Godzilla's fought other monsters, but what if he had to fight himself, who was a robot?
So Terminator Godzilla.
Yeah, exactly. Terminator Godzilla.
Terminator Godzilla.
Terminator Godzilla. I like that. So and it's like I said, hey, look, I didn't make this list based on like hey, critically acclaimed. I meant this list on my favorite kaiju films. It's that is one of my favorite kaiju films.
Okay.
That is another one. If it's on, I will watch it. And they have done this movie 3 times? 4 times?
They've done it a lot.
Yeah, they've done it a lot. You know why? Because it's fucking good. That's the one we want to see.
They've done it so many times. It's actually in the 2020s.
Yeah, exactly.
They
The Americans even did it.
The Americans did it.
Japan
Horrible design though.
Japan got tired of doing it, so America was like, all right, let's take a look at that, because that's what we want to see. It's the Batman versus Joker film,
Why do you say that?
because that's the villain everybody wants to see.
I don't.
I mean, tell the rest of the cinema goers, where it's like, how many times have we seen Joker as a Batman villain?
So what's your favorite Mechagodzilla then? If you have Ledger and freaking Jack.
Okay, so
up there
my
for Joker.
my
so-
favorite Mechagodzilla. So I like if we're talking about like best storyline, I like the one that they did in the early 2000s where the government actually was using they created their Mechagodzilla to take on Godzilla. This one back when Godzilla was a threat, as opposed to the alien one. I just love that movie in general. But the design of the Mechagodzilla in the early 2000s one, when like I said, the Japanese government were actually trying to fight Godzilla, I love that Mechagodzilla better.
Okay, cool. All right.
That's my top five. That's my top
Okay.
five.
My top 5, actually, I'm gonna actually start with Godzilla.
Okay.
And kind of similar to what you
The
were talking
1954
about.
one?
No.
All right.
Even though you got to give shout out to that, but no, I'm actually going Godzilla 85. That is
Oh, the sequel to Godzilla that we rebranded over here.
correct. That is just I just absolutely love that movie. It's
I actually
it's-
forgot about that.
It's my favorite Godzilla poster, like ever. I love the introduction of the Super X.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that not having a monster be in there and actually having they decide to use this advanced weaponry to fight him as opposed of a bomb or anything like that, and they create the Super X to go after him, and it actually works.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually does kill him, and it's the lightning or whatever that hits him that brings him back to life. So
I think that's why they kind of use that again with the oxygen destroyer.
Right,
and,
yeah. So, but using that against him and all that, I thought it's just phenomenal. I just freaking love that movie. I was 11 years old when this movie came out, so I am completely biased because that's personally my favorite Godzilla design ever because he's got the fangs, right? And the only
He does have fangs in it. Yeah.
and the only Godzilla film to make me cry when he's in the volcano.
You felt sad for Godzilla?
Yes, when he was in the volcano and he's just crying and screaming and doing his roar in a really melancholy type of way. I mean, he knew he was done, and I was crying.
Poor Godzilla.
Poor Godzilla. Number 4, I was gonna put Pacific Rim, but I am not. I am stealing yours. I'm going Tremors all day because in the town of perfection, there's nothing new under the sun, but under the ground. The Graboids, you first see it, and
I love how you said land jaws.
Land Jaws. That's exactly right. Because when you're looking at the poster, that's exactly what it is. It's looking up, and you got Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon.
Right.
And the
They're
top.
like, I need a good poster. We still had jaws.
Yeah, let me get that Jaws. But yeah, quiet town, nothing ever happens, and then this is happening.
Yeah.
And you think that it's done, you get one, and then there's 2 more out there. And I think the unknown is something that everybody is always afraid of. You don't know what's down there. You don't know what they are, what they're capable of. and then to come to find out that these things have the tongues that grab you. Like, it is completely, it's not original because of Jaws, I get it, but it's original in the sense that you've never seen anything like that particular creature before, ever.
Could it have been like a crossover, like where they could tie it to Star Wars, and maybe it's the Starlight Pit?
Only the special edition, because those things did not exist. Oh yeah, they did exist, because that's what grabbed Lando. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Hey, maybe you never know. But yeah, it's a fun movie. It's a comedy. It's a horror comedy.
Yes.
Them moving the hat and the old man's face is looking up. Shit like that. You get freaking Family Tie Dad. You got Reba McEntire doing country songs. You got
And
Chuck
boxes
Palahniuk.
falling.
Yeah. For 1988, when that movie came out, it was new. I loved it. It's my number 4. Number 3. Skull Island. I got, and just we talked about it at length right now. I'm not gonna go into it too much, except for the visuals.
Yes.
Absolutely beautiful. Apocalypse Now type of feel. It's the way they filmed Vietnam, the way they filmed the 70s. Like, it was just really, really good. And I honestly believe that, yeah, out of all of the films that came out in the MonsterVerse, that one has the most substance to it.
I feel like they can't do a sequel to that film now.
No.
Like a direct sequel.
If
Like,
they
as
were
far
to-
as like they can do these crossover films, but they can't do a direct sequel anymore.
Okay, well, that one took place in the 70s. When you're looking at the post-credit scene and they're in Monarch and they're underground and they see the all
So
of that
it's
stuff.
some time stuff to fill that maybe they could just do
They
more.
can maybe 80s.
Okay.
Do 80s. Because it was in 76 or whatever it was.
All right.
So go to the 80s. Maybe it would work, but I don't know. Bring back Hiddleston a little bit older.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So that's my number 3. Number 2.
Hiddleston should be in Monarch.
Yes, he should. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was asking.
Number 2.
Number 2. It's Godzilla vs. Megalon. And Jet Jaguar. Dude. You get Jet Jaguar in there. You get freaking. You get Megalon. You get Gigan. You get the ridiculous freaking ridiculous drop kick where he's flying, sliding all the way down.
It was, but that shows you how bad that drop kick was. It was like when that hit you, you
That's
got your ass.
That's some HBK shit right there. I mean, that's the drop kick that freaking made the Rockers proud, because ain't nobody drop kick like Big G.
It's a missile drop kick.
Exactly, but you get they're like getting beat down, and they're like in a ring of fire without Johnny Cash. They got this freaking ring of fire, and they're in there, and freaking Jet Jaguar picks him up, and he flies. And then to get him out of that ring of fire, and then they go at each other. It's freaking awesome, dude. You got freaking, like, when he's like doing this figure, he's doing the pop lock freaking turbo from Breaking 2, freaking, to go big.
Still totally ripped off Ultraman, but that's okay.
Exactly, but I'll take it. What's funny is that, in the deleted scene or the alternate version where he's actually a bad guy. And
Really?
And he tells the humans that they're next, and Jet Jaguar is evil.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have the shirt that says you're next puny humans or some shit like that.
I never knew.
Yeah, but anyway, either way, Godzilla vs. Megalon is my favorite freaking Godzilla.
By the way, one of my favorite designs of one of the kaijus is Gigan. I love the one red eye and the hooks.
Yes, he's fantastic. I think they went overkill as the movies went on because they wanted to do like way too much.
Yeah.
Like he was like a fucking Swiss Army knife and you can open Coke bottles and.
There you go. You need some help with that?
Exactly. Hold on, I got this one. All right, my number 1.
Number 1.
Okay, I'm gonna piss a lot of people off. It's okay because you can go with so many different ones.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Godzilla vs.
Really?
Godzilla vs. Kong 2021 not only to me saved cinema, but it was a breath of fresh air when it came to how advanced and how well executed the fight scenes were, the cinematography, the special effects, and everything compared to 1962. Now, in 1962, you could see the strings and shit, and you could see the dude inside the suit, and so to go and advance all this way to what that movie was. I mean, that is just what you always wanted to see.
Okay.
And in 62, because I saw that movie, I don't even remember how old I was. It wasn't 62, by the way. but I remember seeing that movie. I was so excited about that movie. And you had the two fight scenes, and you have the one and where Godzilla beats the crap out of him. Then you have the second one where freaking Kong wins,
Right.
and they're like really. Like they're doing commentary through the whole thing. Like they have cameras everywhere. Like, what the hell? Where are you seeing this? Where are the cameras? They didn't have drones back then. What are you doing? Anyway, but
we got a man on the street.
But what do you got? Well, right now, Kong's getting his ass whooped. But you have Kong, how they really talk about his mental capacity and how smart he is, as opposed to brute force of what Godzilla is.
Right.
And in this one, they don't really do that, but you can see it. Especially in the second fight scene in Tokyo, like it's just, and then the lighting is freaking phenomenal.
Yes,
like I love that movie.
I mean, it's a great film. It sounds. I mean, out of this thing, it's the best one out of this franchise. But overall, is it the best one?
To me, especially the fight scene on a fucking aircraft carrier. Like,
it was.
That was awesome.
Still, in my defense, Kong lost every fight.
Yes, he did.
He lost every fight.
That is like the true freaking meaning of if you can't beat him, join him.
Like, man, I'm tired of getting my ass kicked. You need some help? I'm gonna come help you.
Honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. There's a bunch. There is a bunch. The stuff that barely missed my list. Cloverfield. Only because Cloverfield, I mean, he was the looming threat in the background, but it was really more of a like on the ground type issue with the little monsters that were attacking, that were the parasites that came off of him. It was more of that was what the real threat of the film was, and he was just kind of like destroying the city in the background, but we're really trying to avoid the parasites. Other ones that I put on here, the original King Kong. No matter, you can do the Peter Jackson one, which was boring for like 90% of the film. Until we got to the end, I guess if I had to pick a Kong film. I also put on here, what else did I put on here? I put They Ever Stood Still, the Keanu Reeves version.
Okay.
Because I love the big robot thing, and I know we were talking about Transformers and stuff like that, and that's what made me think about it. And I was like,
because we were debating at prep whether or not Transformers are considered kaiju.
I mean,
the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
I mean, if you think about the last one with the Rise of the Beast, I mean, there was an ape.
There's an ape.
There's an ape.
Yep, that's true. I'm gonna say yes.
And my last one I put on here, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman.
Yeah.
Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. I mean, because strange creatures, women are very, very strange sometimes, stuff like that.
Ladies, y'all get him on that one. Clump. Dream sequence.
Dream sequence.
Nutty Professor.
It's not a real thing though. It's a dream sequence.
Dave Chappelle, Blackzilla.
I mean, that's a real thing.
What was the other one you said?
Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley was Godzilla. All right, mine. I'm gonna go. Obviously, The Meg.
Yes.
You know, you hadn't seen a really good shark film since The Shallows, so having The Meg, you know, gave you that Jaws.
Can we do like all those B films? Like the can we do Lake Placid? Can we do?
You want to do a top 5 B movie?
We should.
Next. Maybe after this.
Yeah.
All right. Obviously, yeah, you're right. Kong 33, Godzilla's 54, Smog Monster. I like the
Godzilla vs. Smog Monster.
Yeah, I like that one too. A Pacific Rim I had. Obviously, you can't go wrong with Godzilla King of the Monsters. I mean, we talked at length on the last show about that and how much improvement it was from Godzilla 14. But nobody liked it, so or nobody saw it as much as they should have. But whatever. I'm gonna give a shout out to Godzilla 98. It's a fun movie.
It's a fun movie.
It's a fun movie.
They just should have designed him like the original Toho one. It's like it's some aspect of it. It's like the iguana thing ruined that movie.
Yes.
It didn't ruin the movie, but it ruined it.
You know.
Financially,
we did a video on that movie. We did a You Don't Hate Godzilla 98.
Yeah, it's still out there.
I remember that, and we did that show in 2016, and we got completely bombarded with comments. Like that video has like thousands of views on it.
I still, when I tell people that we did that video series, I tell them about that, and they were like, "Oh, you should do this movie." We already did it. Oh, you should do this. Oh, we already did that one. Yeah. Well, shit, you did all the good movies, and I was like, yeah, that's why we haven't done it in a while. We did all the good ones.
But the one with 98 wasn't, and the point that we were always making was that he was a threat.
Yes.
And that's what was so good about it. He was a straight up threat.
And I think that they worked a great balance between humor and the threat so well in it. And I think the casting for that movie was just perfect.
Yeah. So I had that one. I had Pacific Rim, Final Wars, Destroy All Monsters. I'm gonna give a shout out to the Rampage.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, Rampage needs to be on there.
And Shin Godzilla, even though we said it was boring, but the ending is phenomenal,
yes.
and you see a different side of Godzilla completely towards the end. Like,
yes.
He's it's just freaking amazing. But anyway, Colossal. I like that movie a lot. I thought freaking
I could never
Anne
get in.
Hathaway was freaking perfect in that
The whole
movie.
fact that she was, I was like, I don't want to see that.
That's what I liked about it. It was so fun. It was a funny movie. I thought it was really good. So shout out to Colossal. And obviously, I gotta freaking say Godzilla 14. I mean, you know, you gave us a new design, better effects. All right, I'll give you 14. And you had Bryan Cranston for like 5 minutes.
There you go. All right.
Terrence, take us home.
All right, guys. So as we always say, hey, do an amalgamation of all of our lists together. Give us your top 5. It didn't have to be something where like, oh, it's the best amazing movie. Something that's good to you. Something that you enjoy.
Exactly. It doesn't. I mean, we're gonna get freaking hate anyway, because.
Exactly. I also subscribe as well as click the notification button so that we're aware of all the other videos and other top 5s that we'll be making a comeback.
Absolutely.
We already know what the next one is B movies.
There you go. For Aspen, Art, Carla, where the hell they're at, I'm Manny.
I'm Terrence.
We'll see you next time.